is trying to disrupt the supply of fighter jets to Israel illegal.
They're trying to implement draconian authoritarian laws that are stripping away our rights to freedom of protest, freedom of speech, and this is a major problem.
Direct action saves lives! Direct action saves lives!
The Moog trial was presented as an open and shut case, yet after over 17 hours of deliberation, a jury here at Birmingham Crown Court has been unable to convict any of the defendants. The court heard that the activists drove a Land Rover through Moog's fence, and helicopter imagery showed them smashing solar panels and windows on the factory roof. Those defendants, Hana Yun-Stevens, Iain Evans, Frank Sherman, and Hisham Alkhamesi, all said that they were trying to save lives in targeting a US aerospace firm named Moog in Wolverhampton. Iain, over 6 months on remand, 4 days of trial, over 17 hours of jury deliberation. How does it feel to reach this hung jury verdict?
Yeah, just such a massive relief. I think all of us just felt so nervous when all the officers turned up, because we thought they'd reached a verdict against us and they thought we might go back to prison. So obviously there's stuff we still can't talk about, but the prosecution said multiple times to the jury that it was a simple case. And obviously the jury, we don't know what they think, but they clearly didn't think it was a simple case, because the jury deliberated for over 17 hours and they couldn't reach conclusions. So yeah, it's much more complicated than people think, and as I say, really happy with the result.
Defence lawyers reminded the jury of its independence and said they needed to look no further than the T-shirts that they were wearing on the roof, as well as the social media post which discussed F-35s and trainer aircraft.
Trying to do right now is to cut down into the workshop to destroy the machines that are being used to make F-35 fighter jets.
For months I've been investigating Moog, which in August 2025 was targeted by activists from the group Palestinian Martyrs for Justice. They were arrested at the scene and charged with criminal damage, with the case going to trial earlier this month. We travelled to Birmingham for the final day of jury deliberations, on the back of a week which saw 4 other Palestine activists sentenced as terrorists and the ban on Palestine action upheld. Before the verdict was reached, the defendants, as well as their family, friends and supporters, waited anxiously outside the courthouse. Frank, so we're stood here outside Birmingham Crown Court. It's been many days now of deliberation. How does it feel waiting for this verdict to come in?
It's nice to be hopeful. I can feel everyone else is on trial, everyone that's awaiting trial, and every day that we drag it out is a win for us and for those people. It's nice to be dragging out the process and making it, seemingly we've made it quite hard for them.
And we heard on day one of this trial from the prosecution's lawyers that this is an open and shut case. They seem to think that the jury would go out and return within minutes, hours if not minutes. What do you think it says about this, that the jury has not yet returned after 4 days?
Yeah, well, the case obviously had enough holes in it that the jury have a lot of questions, they have a lot of doubt. They weren't able to say, without reasonable doubt, so they haven't been able to convict us as of yet.
And when the jury does come back with a verdict later, what are you hoping for?
A not guilty verdict would be amazing. I don't know if because they haven't been able to come to it yet, I think it's more likely we're going to land on a hung jury, or if they get certain directions, they might be pressured to convict. Hoping for a not guilty verdict, but yeah, we'll see.
So you're a partner of one of the defendants in this case. Can you explain how it has been over the past year or so with remand, but also waiting for this verdict to come in?
Yeah, it's been agonising. I'm not sure. We were all just sort of thrown into this situation. Being remanded for criminal damage was not expected. The prison system in this country is horrible, and to get familiar with it, I never expected that in my life, but it's been horrible to see it up close. And it's been a lot of weight on all of us. The trial not that different. It's a very sort of Kafkaesque bureaucracy to everything, and we just keep walking forwards through it, I guess. I think most people can see that a crime has been committed, probably the greatest crime of this century. But yeah, Moog aren't on trial here. It's 4 people that disrupted their operations.
The day after the Moog jury began its deliberations, the 4 Palestine activists who raided an Israeli arms firm in Filton in 2024 were sentenced as terrorists despite not ever being convicted of terror charges. The Court of Appeal's decision to uphold the prescription of Palestine action 3 days later put the group on a par with ISIS and Al-Qaeda. In justifying this decision, Lady Chief Justice Baroness Carr tried to set Palestine action outside of Britain's long history of civil disobedience.
We emphasise the importance of the right to freedom of expression and that civil disobedience has a long and honourable history in this country. Palestine Action characterised itself as a non-violent, direct action protest group, following in the footsteps of the suffragettes and the campaigns against apartheid and the Iraq War. In our judgment, that premise was seriously flawed. It is not, as it claims, a direct action civil disobedience protest group like the suffragettes operating transparently in the open.
While it's impossible to know what is discussed in jury rooms, commentators have questioned whether the Filton precedent might worry jurors that convicting people of criminal damage might not be the end of the story. We asked people outside the court what they thought of these developments.
The suffragettes planted 300 bombs in public places. They burnt down a large country house. 4 people were killed directly arising from their actions. The activities that Palestine Action had taken are well within the limits of what might be described as legitimate direct action, much more so than the suffragettes were. Yet the Home Secretary, the day before she prescribed them, was wearing the suffragette colours in Parliament. It's just sheer hypocrisy. There's already been a suggestion that other people, other organisations might be prescribed for organising what are quite clearly peaceful demonstrations outside factories. They will keep moving the boundary.
We saw last Friday 4 Palestine activists being sentenced as terrorists with regards to the Filton incident. Does that concern you that activists in the UK are now for the first time being sentenced and treated as terrorists?
It's really quite shocking to me. As I've said before, I think these people who are standing up for justice and humanity, they deserve to be lauded and praised for their actions, not treated as criminals, not persecuted for taking this action on behalf of others, doing a great sacrifice to their own liberty and livelihoods by taking this action. And I thought what was very revealing was how Lady Chief Justice Carr, in her judgment against Palestine Action, she made this very poor, ill-judged conflation between the suffragettes and Palestine Action, when a lot of these people who are taking direct action are doing things which are actually more peaceful than the suffragettes actually did. And one of the things I've pointed out to people here, knowing about Wolverhampton, is that on the Wolverhampton Magistrates Court there's actually a blue plaque commemorating Red Emma. She was a suffragette who was a socialist. She actually invaded Parliament with the Pankhurst sisters. She was imprisoned for her beliefs, but eventually, after suffrage was won for women, she actually became the first female councillor in Wolverhampton. So she's now celebrated for her actions, but if Lady Chief Justice Carr had her way, she'd probably be imprisoned and she wouldn't be able to succeed in her eventual aims.
I think everyone should be concerned about this. Everyone in the UK should be concerned about this, because it's not just about Palestine. It doesn't matter whether you share the same concern about Palestine or what's going on in the Middle East as the rest of us. This is an attack on our freedoms, and it's a deliberate, orchestrated attack on our freedoms.
I think they all are heroes. They deserve medals, awards for what they're doing. They're actually saving lives.
The Crown Prosecution Service has already notified the defendants that it will seek a retrial, but a date is not yet set.